How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video we're going to be going over everything you need to know for the month of October in Pokémon GO. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, let's go over the current season bonuses. We're going to be getting guaranteed extra large candy from trading Pokemon if you're level 31 or higher, arguably one of the best bonuses. We're also going to get increased friendship experience, so basically instead of getting like 100,000 experience for hitting best friends, you would get 150,000 experience for hitting best friends, 300,000 experience on a lucky egg. So I mean, these two bonuses alone, guys, are some of the best that we've ever had in Pokemon GO. Make sure to take advantage of them. And then finally, we're going to get increased experience and Stardust for 7-day catch and spin streaks. Next up, let's take a look at the Shadow Legendary Pokemon that are going to be available from Giovanni and raid battles. So first up, let's go over the Giovanni rotation. So the Shadow Legendary currently available right now is going to be Cresselia, but that is going to be changing very soon with the next Team Go Rocket Takeover event just on the horizon. That's going to be starting on October 8th during the Galarian Expedition event, and this is going to be bringing in the debut of Shadow Heatran from Giovanni. Now in terms of meta relevance for Shadow Heatran, while we don't actually know how good this Pokemon is going to be just yet, I can give you some pretty good speculation. So regular Heatran in the Open Master League is actually really good with Magma Storm, and it's also a really good Fire-type attacker to use in the Raid/Gym meta. So Shadow Heatran, given the 20% attack boost, is going to be even better in the Raid/Gym meta. It's definitely a Pokemon that I think some of you guys are going to want to use your Super Rocket Radar on. One of my friends was actually talking about the relevance of Shadow Heatran as well in the Open Great League meta, so that might be really good too. I do want to remind you guys though that you also have Shadow Cresselia available as well, which is currently one of the top Pokemon to use in the Open Great League as well as the Open Ultra League metas despite getting nerfed this past season. Some people have been saying that Shadow Cresselia is not that good anymore, but that is simply not true. It's still ranked in the top 100 for both of these Open metas. Now with that being said though, if you're not really that focused on PvP, you might want to stack this Super Rocket Radar moving forward. If you're not really sure how to do this though, then I do encourage you to check out my video right here. It covers how to actually stack these radars and should hopefully give you some insight before Shadow Heatran actually becomes available. Now as always though, if you guys do have any questions regarding stacking your Super Rocket Radars or Shadow Cresselia or Shadow Heatran, let me know in the comment section down below. Next up, let's take a look at the Shadow Legendary Pokemon that is going to be available from raid battles on the weekend, and that is going to be Shadow Entei. So kind of expected, right? We just had Shadow Raikou available in rotation, and we've actually had 2 full rotations of these Shadow Legendary beasts, so no surprise that we have Entei during this month, and next month should most likely be Suicune if it's following the same pattern. Keep in mind that this actually might be one of your last times to get Shadow Entei, so for those of you guys who missed the last 2 rotations or you weren't really focused on this Pokemon, this is one of the top Fire-type attackers in the game. Its main relevance is in the Raid/Gym meta as well, so definitely a Pokemon you might want to get your hands on. Like I mentioned earlier though, these Shadow Raids are only available on the weekends and they can only be done in person only. So again, you do have the chance to get a potential Shadow Shiny from Entei, and regardless of the IVs, I would recommend powering it up. Shadow Shinies are some of the rarest Pokemon to get in the game, and seriously, it's just so much fun to actually be using them in battle. Because these raids are in person only though, I would encourage you guys to check your local campfire and see if you can actually get some players together to get these raids done. Next up, let's take a look at the research breakthroughs. So the Pokemon that are going to be available are going to be Galarian Weezing, Galarian Mr. Mime, Excadrill, Scraggy, Furfrou, and Jangmo-o. So every single Pokemon except for Excadrill has the potential to be shiny, and you also have a chance to get a remote raid pass from these if you actually have no more than 2 in your Pokemon bag, although it is a pretty rare occurrence. Next up, let's take a look at our raid battles, starting off with max battles, which are essentially Dynamax raids. So our second rotation of Dynamax eligible Pokemon are going to be debuting during this month in Pokemon GO. These raids are in person only, and you can only have a max party of 4 with you when you get these raids done, kind of similar to how it worked in the main series games. But so far, every single one of these raids has been soloable, and I've covered Dynamax Pokemon quite thoroughly on the channel recently, so if you haven't seen my recent videos, I encourage you to watch them. So in 1-star max battles, we're going to have the Gen 8 starters Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble. Unfortunately, these Pokemon cannot be shiny just yet, but similar to the Kanto starters, these Pokemon will also have special Gigantamax forms in the future. Now, how that mechanic will work in Pokemon GO is still unknown, but at the very least, I think it's really important to focus on them now in order to get good IV spreads. Now, keeping all that in mind, I know that a lot of people are ignoring this feature in-game, and that's perfectly fine. Like, if you don't want to do it, that's okay. But keep in mind that if you do want to eventually do the 5-star max battles, you kind of have to focus on these Pokemon right now. You do get 800 max particles every single day for free, and you can even stack up to over 1,000 a day if you do it properly with the walking reward. That being said though, I am fully aware that there are some annoying issues with max battles right now, which will hopefully be fixed in the future. Like, one really annoying glitch at the moment is the candy earned from placing your Pokemon at power spots. it keeps saying that you earn 0 candy when that's not entirely true. Sadly, this has prevented a lot of players from earning candy on their Pokemon, which really does suck because, you know, some players out there, they don't have that much Charmander candy, Bulbasaur candy, Squirtle candy, etc., right? So I really do hope that Niantic does get this fixed in the near future, and, you know, again, there are some other issues as well, like getting randomly kicked out of the max battle mid-fight, and then having to restart the entire battle. I've actually had this happen a few times to me, and I've gotten numerous comments of people dealing with the exact same thing. So yeah, max battles are not perfect right now, but still, outside of these issues, I do think the feature has been pretty fun overall. So obviously a little bit long-winded there in terms of the max battles. I kind of just felt like I had to talk about it since I've been receiving so many comments about this stuff. But we do actually have some more raid bosses available in these max battles. Specifically from 3-star, we're going to have the special raid boss Phalanx, which can actually be shiny. This shiny was recently released in Pokemon GO 2. Now currently we are very limited on the Pokemon that we have available for these Dynamax raids, and Phalanx is actually the first fighting type Pokemon that we're going to be getting. So at very minimum, I would recommend grabbing at least 3 of these to have on hand. You don't have to power them up, but you just want to have them available for the double fighting type movesets to use against future raid bosses, which when it comes down to these 3-star solos, you definitely need to have the right stuff going into them. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to put together a solo guide for this raid boss, but if I do see a lot of people struggling, I definitely may. The Build 'em solo video that I put out recently on the channel actually ended up helping so many people, and I was so happy to hear that. As always though, if there is demand for something, I'll definitely do my best to put something out for it. Now finally, we do actually have a mystery Pokemon that is supposed to be featured as well during this month, and I would have to imagine this is most likely going to be Ghastly. Now with that being said, I'm not sure if this is going to be available from 1-star or 3-star max battles. I'm gonna guess 3-star though, similar to Beldum. Now Gengar will also have a future Gigantamax form, so honestly farming this Pokemon would be a top priority in my opinion if that ends up being the case. So as we get more information on this stuff, I'll make sure to cover it on the channel, but for the time being, I would highly recommend focusing on the Gen 8 starter Pokemon in these max battles, and if you guys are actually watching this before October 1st, make sure to go out there and get some Beldum raids done as well. I really do feel like these monthly breakdown videos are just going to be getting even longer moving forward with these max battles now factored in as well, but now let's take a look at the legendary raid pool. So shiny forms are actually going to be available for every single one of these Pokemon, which is always really nice, and the rotation cycle is going to be from 10 AM to 10 AM local time, so keep that in mind. To keep things going from September, we're going to have Zacian available in raids until October 4th. This is actually the first time this Pokemon has been released as a shiny in any Pokemon game, so the only other time was during a special GameStop event where they were giving them away. So yeah, if you actually want to get your hands on a shiny Zacian and then send it over to Pokemon Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet, you can do that through Pokemon GO. You can't do the reverse though, so like you can't send it back to Pokemon GO once you send it over, so keep that in mind if you're going to be doing this. Now going back to the focus of Pokemon GO though, Zacian also has a Crown Sword form that has not been released yet, which will most likely make it even more meta relevant in game. For now though, we can only take advantage of the hero form that's going to be available, which is actually really relevant in the Open Master League, ranking at number 37 right now. Okay, so it's not like super meta relevant, but it's still pretty good. Now I did also receive a comment recently asking about its meta relevance as a fairy type attacker in raid battles, so Zacian does actually have a lot of power behind it, like we know this, right? But it doesn't have a fairy type fast move available, unfortunately. So you're definitely going to want to focus on your other top options like Xerneas, Enamorus, and Gardevoir. Next up, we're going to have Zamazenta available from October 4th to October 14th. So very similar to Zacian, we actually haven't seen Zamazenta available in raids for a long time. And on top of that, this is going to be the first time the shiny form is going to be available across all Pokemon games, excluding that one GameStop event. So like I mentioned for shiny Zacian, for the main series Pokemon players, you may want to get your hands on an extra shiny. This way you can actually send it over to Pokemon Home and then use it in Pokemon Sword and Shield or Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now in terms of the meta relevance for Zamazenta, it's really not good in anything. It's not good in raids or gyms, and it's not good in PvP. Like it's kind of good in the Open Master League. It's ranked at number 72 right now, but to be honest, I think that's just way too high for the Open Master League meta. The next Pokemon in rotation is going to be Giratina Origin Form from October 14th to October 28th. Really awesome Pokemon to see coming into rotation during the month of October, this spooky month, and especially for 2 weeks too. This Pokemon has incredible meta relevance as a ghost type attacker for the raid/gym meta, and it's also relevant in the Open Master League and PvP. Now thanks to the recent meta shakeup as well during Season 20, this Pokemon also has relevance in the Open Great League and Ultra League metas too. For the ideal moveset though, you do want to go with Shadow Claw plus Shadow Ball, and it also has access to its signature moveset Shadow Force, which you do have to use an Elite Tam to get it. However, based on the simulations, it's really not that much better than Shadow Ball, so I wouldn't really worry about this too much. Like, Shadow Ball is perfectly fine for Giratina. So if I didn't really sell you on it already, Giratina Origin Form is going to be one of the top Pokemon to focus on during this month. I mean, again, we have it for 2 weeks, so you have plenty of time to get this. Now finally, from October 28th to November 4th, we're going to have the final Pokemon available in rotation, and that Pokemon is going to be Darkrai. Now unfortunately, Darkrai is not really one of the best dark type attackers in the game anymore. It's still a really good option, but sadly we're not going to see the release of its signature moveset, Dark Void. So sadly, yes, another year without Dark Void. I mean, it kind of makes sense though, because this would no doubtably boost it up in the meta quite a bit, and I feel like Niantic is kind of saving that for a later time. Anyways though, Darkrai is still worth focusing on for the main appeal of its elusive shiny form. This can only be caught in raid battles, and for those of you who don't know why that actually is, that's because Darkrai is going to be a mythical Pokemon, and you can actually trade mythical Pokemon in game. There are like some exceptions to that rule like Melton, but for Darkrai, unfortunately not, and same thing with Deoxys. Now personally speaking, I've actually struck out every single year on the Darkrai shiny, so hopefully this year is the year that I actually get it. Now keep in mind, if you end up getting the Hundo, you can always give it an Elite TM to get Dark Void later. Like I actually ended up getting the Hundo I think 2 years ago, and so when Dark Void eventually does get released, I'm just going to give mine the Elite TM. That's pretty much going to cover the legendary raid pool though. Let's talk about the Mega Raids next, and shiny forms as always are going to be available for each of these Pokemon. So continuing onward from the month of September, we're going to have Mega Gardevoir available. Guys, this is like the best fairy type Mega in the game. If you have not been doing these raids, at least like 1 to 2, go out there and get some Mega Gardevoir raids done. Like seriously, do not sleep on this Pokemon. It is so freaking good to use. Now for newer players out there, I also want to recommend Pineapple Berrying or even Silver Pineapple Berrying these Gardevoir to actually get 20 candy per catch. For stage 3 Pokemon like Gardevoir, you're normally going to get 10 candy per catch. With a Pineapple Berry, that's going to be 20 candy, and then with a Silver Pineapple Berry, that's going to be a little bit more than that. Gardevoir has a lot of relevance in Pokemon Go as a Mega plus the regular, and then also the Shadow variant as well, so you can never really have too much Ralts candy. Now following that, from October 4th to October 14th, we're going to have Mega Blaziken available. This is the #1 fire type attacker in the game, tied with Mega Charizard Y, and it can also be used as a top fighting type attacker in the game with Counter plus Focus Blast. If you ended up missing Mega Lucario Raid Day, this would be a great Pokemon to focus on if you don't already have it. Now when it comes down to the ideal fire type moveset though, you want to go with Fire Spin plus Blast Burn, and yes, Blast Burn is going to be an exclusive Calm Day moveset. So if you end up getting the Hundo, I would encourage you guys to use an Elite TM, but if you don't want to give it the Elite TM, you could also go with Blaze Kick or Overheat as the next best option. Next up, we're going to have Mega Sableye available from October 14th to October 28th, so once again a 2-week rotation here going alongside with Giratina Origin form. This is a Mega Pokemon that we do rarely ever see in rotation, and to be honest, it's not really that good for anything, like at least in raid battles, but it does actually have some play in the Open Great League as one of the super extra large Pokemon builds. So kind of similar to Medicham, I would focus on building one with good IVs for the Great League, specifically Purified Sableye by the way, and then use that as your Mega Pokemon. This way you don't actually have to power up 2 different versions of it, and again, like the main use for Sableye is its candy bonuses, given that it's going to be a dual dark and ghost type Pokemon. Not to mention, given the timing of when this Pokemon is going to be available, it's going to be the perfect Pokemon for newer players to get their hands on, because we're going to have the Halloween events, right, with all these ghost and dark type Pokemon available, so, I mean, you can have this Pokemon active to get even more candy on the ghost and dark type Pokemon that you end up catching. It's really, really good for newer players, and then for seasoned players, I mean, obviously go with the best Mega that you have active at Mega Level 3, but I think for a lot of newer players who watch these videos, like they kind of feel like Mega Pokemon is not something they can really focus on, but again guys, like the opportunities are right in front of you, just make sure to take advantage of them. Now finally, for the last rotation, we're going to have Mega Baynet available from October 28th to November 4th. So this Pokemon really isn't that good for anything. Like, I mean, if you want to focus on the candy bonuses, you already have Mega Sableye right there. Mega Baynet really isn't anything to write home about. It's like second compared to Mega Gengar. Mega Gengar is a lot better. So, I mean, get it for the Mega Pokedex if you want to. Other than that, there's really no reason to focus on this Pokemon more than you have to. Now finally, as always, to wrap up the Mega Pokemon, I'd like to provide some general information for any new or returning players watching this. So first of all, you only need to evolve them once before getting access to their cooldown period moving forward. You're also going to get more extra large candy when your Mega Pokemon gets to Mega Level 3, which is unlocked after 30 days of Mega Evolution. Additionally, on top of that, when you actually complete these Mega Raids, you're going to get guaranteed charge TMs. I know for a fact some of you guys out there don't have that many charge TMs, so I mean, make sure to be doing these Mega Raids. So basically my recommendation is to always do at least 1 to 2 raids to get the initial energy that you guys need to Mega Evolve them for the first time, and then after that you can just walk them as your buddy to get more energy that way. Now finally, to conclude the raids, we have Raid Hour, which is going to be available every single Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. local time. Whichever Pokemon is currently in rotation is going to be the one featured that Wednesday. Now on top of that, during Raid Hours, the raids do actually reset after 25 minutes, so you can actually hit the same gyms at the half-hour mark, which is really good for convenience. So on October 2nd, we're going to have Zacian available. On October 9th, we're going to have Zamazenta. For October 16th and October 23rd, we're going to have Giratina Origin Form, and then finally on October 30th, we're going to have Darkrai. Next up, let's go over the upcoming events for this month. So first of all, we're going to have the Legendary Heroes event kind of closing out as we start October. I did actually put together a tips and tricks video for this event, so if you guys are actually watching this before October 1st, I would encourage you to go and watch that to fully take advantage of everything that event has to offer. And trust me, there's definitely a lot of good stuff going on there. Following that, from October 4th to October 11th, we're going to have the Galarian Expedition event. This event is going to feature the debut of the shiny Galarian birds as well as shiny Zamazenta, as we mentioned earlier. So in my opinion, it's going to be an absolute banger of an event. Now, according to the speculative rumors, the shiny Galarian birds are also not supposed to be able to run away, but the catch rate is still going to be the same on them like normal, which is really, really low. So basically my recommendation is to stockpile as many Ultra Balls as you possibly can, plus golden raspberries, in case you actually encounter one while using the Daily Adventure Incense. It is most likely going to take you quite a few minutes to actually catch this. And there is actually a good possibility that you may run out of Pokeballs, in which case, I mean, that'd be really frustrating, right? Like one of the rarest shiny Pokemon in the entire game and you can't actually catch it. Well, hopefully some of you guys do actually have that Master Ball saved, just in case. Now actually one day after that event starts, we're also going to have the Calm Day for Sewaddle. To be honest, I'm not going to make a separate video going over this one, guys. There's just not that much going on for it, but I'll make sure to cover the event details right now. You guys can always come back to this video if you ever need to get a reference point. So first of all, we're going to have Lure Modules and Incense being 3 hours long like normal. The special bonus is going to be 1/4 incubator distance, so yeah, that's part of the reason I'm not going to cover this. It's a really bad bonus. We are going to get 2x catch candy though, along with the 2x chance to receive extra large candy from catching Pokemon. Again though, it is Sewaddle, it's not really used for anything. The exclusive moveset is going to be Shadow Claw on this Pokemon, which I'm not really sure if it's going to be that meta relevant in PvP. There's a good chance that it will though, because Shadow Claw is such a good fast move, so if you guys are focused on PvP, this Pokemon may be worth focusing on just for more of like a limited niche meta, but it's totally up to you. In terms of the raid/gym meta relevance, there really isn't going to be any for this Pokemon, like not even as like a budget bug type attacker, it's just that bad. Now on top of that, you're also going to get an extra special trade during that day, so make sure to take advantage of it if you want to, and all trades are going to cost 50% less Stardust. And then of course on top of that, we're also going to have showcases available. This actually might be a good Pokemon to focus on for the showcases because not that many people are going to be playing this event. So there is actually a good chance you might be able to place first in some of the showcases in your local area just due to the lack of interest. But overall, I'm not really that interested in this Pokemon. Like, yeah, it's going to be cool that we're getting a new shiny Pokemon, but the special bonus being 1/4 incubator distance, that doesn't really get me out of bed. I mean, it's arguably like the worst one you can have for these types of events, right? So I'm most likely just going to go out and play for like 30 minutes, grab a few shinies, and then head home. Moving on though, on October 12th, we're going to have a Mega Raid Day available with a mystery Pokemon, and this is most likely going to be a debut of a new Mega Pokemon. We don't have that many left in Pokemon GO, so take your best pick in the comment section down below what you think it might be. I'm gonna have to guess maybe Sharpedo, maybe Metagross. I can't really think of anything else that we might get for this. So, I mean, again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think it's going to be. Then from October 15th to October 17th, we're going to have a very short event called the Magnetic Study. I think this event is going to debut Morpeko, which is the Pokemon that was kind of teased during the start of this season in-game. It's like that hungry looking guinea pig that transforms into its angry version and then back to its regular version. It's like the first Pokemon in-game that we're going to actually have this sort of feature. I almost guarantee this Pokemon is going to be broken on launch. Like, I'm just calling that right now. Like, Pokemon GO has a history of just not launching these things properly, so I would not expect very much from this Pokemon if we end up getting it during this event. Now, following that, we actually have a lot more mystery events, kind of similar to the Mega Raid Day. Like, we don't know what it's going to be yet, so I'm going to go over the events that we do actually know of. So at least on October 19th, we know that it's going to be a research day, like that much we do know. And then from October 22nd to October 28th, we're going to have the Halloween event part 1. And then from October 28th to November 3rd, we're going to have the Halloween event part 2. So again, like that's what we know so far, but we actually have like a mystery event from October 26th to October 27th, and then another mystery event from October 31st to November 3rd. So because we actually have a lot of mystery events toward the end of October, I might actually make a part 2 for this monthly breakdown video sometime in the middle of the month. But with that being said, let's go over our spotlight hours now, which take place every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. local time. Shiny forms are going to be available on every single one of these Pokemon, which is always great, but you know, we have a lot more to talk about besides the shiny relevance of some of these Pokemon. So first of all, on October 1st, we're going to have the featured Pokemon be P-Dove, with the special bonus being 2x transfer candy. Now this Pokemon really isn't that meta relevant for anything in raids or for PvP, but one thing that you might not have expected is that this Pokemon is actually going to be really good to focus on for the next Spotlight Hour. So P-Dove is actually a Pokemon that requires 12 candy to evolve, which actually makes it one of the cheapest evolutions in the game. And next week's Spotlight Hour actually features the special bonus of 2x Evolve experience. So if you actually want to take advantage of that bonus, I would recommend stockpiling at least 70 of these per lucky egg, 140 if you want to do the entire hour, and then Pineapple Berry every single one of these so you can have enough candy to evolve them during the next week's Spotlight Hour. Now on top of that, you can also go ahead and combine any friendship level ups as well if you really want to maximize your lucky egg. Once again, we do have the 1.5 times experience on friendship experience right now in game. So the XP gains are definitely there if you actually focus on them. Now with that being said, I don't want to ignore the special bonus during the Spotlight Hour as well, which is going to be 2x transfer candy, arguably one of the best bonuses by far. Especially before a big month like October, I feel like getting rid of all the extra Pokemon that you have, making space for all the new ones is going to be really important. So my recommendation is always to just create a search tag, group together all of your rare Pokemon, extra legendary Pokemon leading up to this event, and bonus points if you actually mirror trade them with someone beforehand, get some more extra candy on them. That'd be fantastic. So moving on over to the October 8th Spotlight Hour, we're going to have the featured Pokemon be Galarian Slowpoke. Once again, we mentioned the special bonus already, 2x Evolve experience. And since we already discussed the Spotlight Hour bonus, let's actually talk about the Pokemon and its meta relevance. Unfortunately, I am very sad to say that Galarian Slowpoke and its evolutions, Galarian Slowbro and Galarian Slowking, have very limited relevance in PvP, and basically no meta relevance in the Raid/Gym meta. The only evolution form that is kinda good is going to be Galarian Slowbro in the Open Ultra League meta, but you will actually need to have a lot of extra large candy on this Pokemon. So this event could be good for some of you guys if you actually want to grind that out. Otherwise, I would just focus on your XP gains and pretty much just call it a day. So on October 15th, we're going to have the featured Pokemon be Shroomish, with the special bonus being 2x Catch Stardust. This is one of the best Spotlight Hours, guys, we're going to have the entire month, because for those of you who don't know, Shroomish is one of the special Pokemon that actually gets boosted Stardust when catching it. Now combined with the 2x Catch Stardust bonus, and potentially a Weather Boost, plus a Star Piece, the Stardust gains are going to be completely nuts. Now keeping all that in mind, I don't believe that Shroomish actually has a bad catch rate in game, so I think you should be fine not having to stockpile a bunch of raspberries going into this. But on the off chance that I'm actually wrong, you may want to keep some on hand just for the higher level ones. If you haven't actually mastered the fast catch trick as well, you definitely want to practice this before this event for increased efficiency. Now going back to the meta relevance for its evolution Breloom, there really isn't anything to focus on here, so just focus on catching as many Shroomish as possible, and that's basically it. Now that Spotlight Hour is going to be really good for Stardust gains, but this next Spotlight Hour is actually going to be a combined one featuring the Pokemon Duskull, Ghastly, and Litwick on October 22nd, with the special bonus being 2x Catch experience. Now personally speaking, I'm a big fan of these combined Spotlight Hours, especially when we have meta relevant Pokemon like this. So first of all, let's talk about the catch bonus, and then we'll talk about the meta relevance for each of these Pokemon individually. So while the experience bonus is nice, it's nothing too crazy compared to the other methods in game, so for that reason I wouldn't recommend using Lucky Eggs during this Spotlight Hour. That being said though, if you do want to focus on the experience bonus during this event, you could just practice your excellent throws, without having that Lucky Egg active. You're still going to get 2,000 experience per catch without a Lucky Egg, so that's still pretty good. But now with that out of the way, I do want to go over the Pokemon and their meta relevance right now, which is arguably the most important thing you guys want to focus on during this Spotlight Hour. So first of all, Duskull, which evolves all the way up into Dusknoir. This Pokemon has meta relevance in the Great League and Ultra League metas, but after the most recent meta shakeup in game, this Pokemon actually became one of the best to have in the Open Ultra League meta. It's also still a really great pick for the Open Great League. It's just Open Ultra League, man, it's like top 10 right now. It's crazy good. The downside though is that you will need to have the exclusive Legacy moveset Shadow Ball on your Dusknoir. For this event, I would just focus on getting some good IV spreads for PvP, and then you can decide later if you want to give it the Elite TM, or if you want to wait for a special event where you can actually evolve it to get the moveset for free. Next up, let's talk about Ghastly, which fully evolves into Gengar, another amazing Pokemon to focus on. It has meta relevance as a Ghost-type attacker, as a regular, and then also as a Mega Evolution. It's also the best Ghost-type Mega Evolution in the game, by the way, and then also kind of the best Poison-type Mega in the game too. Even though it doesn't actually have a Poison-type fast move, Shadow Claw plus Sludge Bomb is incredibly OP to use. So for those of you out there who don't have the hundo on this Pokemon, this is going to be a great chance to potentially get one. Gengar is also going to be relevant in PvP in both the Open Great League and Ultra League metas, but it will need the exclusive moveset Shadow Punch, which is unfortunately very important for Gengar in PvP, so you can't really run this without it. Like I mentioned with Dusknoir though, you could also just hold on to your Ghastly until we get an event where we can actually get this moveset for free. Or if you really want to run it, you could just go ahead and use that Elite TM. It's totally up to you. Now, Ghastly is also one of the few Pokemon that benefits from the Trade Evolution candy discount. So basically, if you trade and evolve it all the way up to Gengar, it's only going to cost you 25 candy for the evolution to its second stage form, Haunter. And then basically from Haunter to Gengar, it's going to be free. So pretty much just catch and then trade high-level Ghastly with somebody else who also has high-level Ghastly, evolve them all the way up, give them the right moveset, which would be Shadow Claw plus Shadow Ball, and then you pretty much have a top tier ghost type attacker raid team. Like, okay, not top tier because Giratina Origin would be better than that. So in my opinion, a fantastic opportunity for newer or returning players just coming back to the game. I mean, seriously, you have everything laid out right in front of you. All you have to do is just go and grind it. Now finally, our last Pokemon is going to be Litwick, which evolves into Chandelure. This Pokemon is going to have meta relevance in the raid/gym meta as both a fire and ghost type attacker. So for the fire type moveset, you want to go with Incinerate plus Overheat, and then for the ghost type moveset, you want to go with Shadow Claw plus Shadow Ball. There are going to be no exclusive legacy movesets required, although Chandelure does actually have one called Poltergeist. Shadow Ball is actually ranked better than this though, so you don't really need to worry about this one too much. Now I do want to remind you guys that Litwick is normally a very rare Pokemon to have in game, so I would encourage you guys to Pinot Berry these if you do want to get more candy on them, especially if they're not really spawning as frequently as Duskull or Ghastly. So basically when it comes down to it, to really maximize, how much value you get out of both Gengar and Chandelure, for Ghastly, trade them first, like high level Ghastly, trade them with a friend who also has high level Ghastly. You have the potential chance of getting a lucky variant, and then you can just evolve them all the way up. It's going to cost you 25 candy, which is extremely cheap. And then for Chandelure, you can pretty much do the same thing, although you're not going to have as much of a candy savings there, but it's still a little bit better than Gengar. So I mean, all around guys, the ghost type attacker team can be built entirely during this month. I mean, you have Chandelure, you have Gengar, and then you also have Giratina Origin available in raid battles. That's pretty much all that you need. Now finally, for the last spotlight hour of the month on October 29th, we're going to have a mystery Pokemon with the special bonus being 2x catch candy. Now, I'm not sure if this kind of hints that we're not going to have 2x catch candy during this portion of the Halloween event, because I mean, otherwise why would we have this bonus, right? It doesn't really make that much sense. But once again, I'm most likely going to make a part 2 for this October breakdown since there are so many mystery events. So in conclusion guys, October is always one of the best months in Pokemon Go, and 2024 is no exception. Over the past few months, Niantic has honestly been on fire in terms of content, and I do stand by that statement, even though I know some of you guys are going to disagree with me on that. Like, there are definitely a lot of issues in game right now, so I'm not going to disregard any of that, but specifically from a content perspective, there is seriously so much to look forward to during this month. Whether you're a newer player, returning player, or even a seasoned player, I think there's something for everyone. Now on the flip side of things though, I do understand that for some players this can kind of feel like a content overload, so for anybody that is feeling overwhelmed, I just want to remind you guys that you don't have to play every single event. I did try to highlight the most important ones to focus on, and I'm going to go over all this stuff more in detail as we go through my event tips and tricks videos as these events kind of come closer in rotation. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I just think there's so many things to look forward to. I'm really excited, and as always, if you're looking forward to anything particular, let me know in the comment section down below. But with that being said, that's basically everything I have for you guys in this video. If you do want to check out some more content, I'm going to recommend these 2 videos right here. And before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.